Hi everyone, my name is Nolan Hergert, and I want to show you some demos today of some things I've been working on. I first want to take you to this web page by an former Apple engineer, Brett Victor. It's really cool inspiration. I saw it 2 years ago, and I was like, exactly, that's what I'm thinking. And I see he had a thing in here for Fourier transforms and frequency domain and all this stuff, and working on my own software, I've been trying to understand the same things. So here we go. The first is something, actually it was a physics class in high school. We looked at laser spirograph, and what it is a set of mirrors that are next to each other. I'll take you to this link actually. It's a little bit better down here. And they're mounted in such a way that they reflect off of each other here. You shine a laser in here, it bounces off this one, this one, and this one. And based on the speeds of the spinning mirrors, it creates a different pattern on the wall, like this. This is something that mathematicians have been talking about for about 20 years, and people have seen in like spirograph toys. They create interesting little shapes, and people have been talking about it and not really able to play around with it in real time. And I started out trying to make my own example of it, and I've been iterating on that to try and generate these shapes on my own. And so using processing, this is kind of the current iteration of things. And let me turn off the audio real quick. It allows you to display these things in real time, with the x-axis being the positive frequencies of rotation for one motor, and then negative, this side of the graph being the negative speeds for the other motor, and this is reflected up here to the right as positive frequency and then minus frequency. And then the vertical axis controls a different set of motors, a different motor as well, with positive being on top and negative being on the bottom. That's down here. Sorry for the bad graphical user interface of this, but this is what I've had to work with right now with my school schedule. The other thing you can do is zoom in and pan around, and also go down to like slow speeds, where it shows you the actual effect of the mirrors adding together and you can slow it down. It looks pretty cool, and it's very interesting. And this is essentially looking at the phase relationship of the two motors. So I did some more research in this. It's been really fun to play around with, it wasn't until about a year ago that the idea popped in my head that this might be saying something more, and that is that these actually correspond to things in the frequency domain. So they can be audio tones essentially that are generating sine waves both in the real and the imaginary domain. And I'm going to turn the audio back off again. That looks like this, where each mirror is this spinning circle, and it generates a sine wave when you take only the x direction or only the y direction. It generates a sinusoid in both of those domains. And this is something that is talked about a lot in mathematics. You know that these things that are called phasors, they add up. There's cosine identities for that, where it's cosine equals e to the j omega plus e to the minus j omega all over 2, and there's lots of things that go along with that. But I, as an ECE major, never really understood them until I could visually look at the formula and then look at this phasor and how they added up to generate the formula. I don't have a good example right now, but those of you that know what I'm talking about, you'll hopefully be able to share the same inspiration. So yeah, there's really cool stuff you can do when you look at audio in this phase domain, in this like rotational phase domain, and this is an example of someone that's done it with, whoops, with, let me close this real quick. I've done something similar with a piano sound. Looks like this isn't working too well. Got too many things running. Anyway, yeah, so we're going to show you the same effect in processing. I've had it so it'll generate audio tones based on the frequencies of the relative waveforms here. So you can see that when they line up in such a way that they're that the frequencies, let me go up here to a more easy example. Here you can see that one frequency is at 300 hertz, the other one is at 400 minus 450 hertz, and that we interpret as like a chord in audio, in like a piano, but it's also in the visual domain. It turns into this 5-pointed star, which is very interesting. I wanted to play around with all this stuff, and this is the best way I could find to do that. And I'm clicking the space bar that holds the current position of the frequency chart here, and then I can hold Shift to control it and hold the frequency in one domain, move it in the other, and then Alt changes it in the other direction. And if I hold Alt and Shift, it lets you go along the same slope, so it keeps the shape here and goes along in keeping the same shape. And this really lets you see like all the different shapes that can be created. Here turns out to be an octave, where it's 161, and then doubling that is 320. The reason this is rotating is because it's not quite an octave. There are beats that are going on, and the frequency of the beats is equal to the difference of two tones. Let me show it. It's better up here. Better here to visualize it. This is showing you how these two tones add together. You can hear as it goes in and out, it's passing through the real domain and then the imaginary domain. As you hear them canceling out, adding together and then canceling out. If I had a little bit more time, I would show you the real output and then the imaginary output at the same time, and that would make a lot more sense, but I don't currently have time. That's definitely on the next set of features for this software. So yeah, that's fun to look around with. But once you start doing more things like adding more motors or more frequencies together, say let's add a third frequency of 500 hertz, and what you can do with that is start looking at what that creates, and you get these really interesting patterns that are just like really wacky. It's my best way of describing it. And I'm still trying to work on understanding what different shapes correspond to what, but that'll hopefully be done in the summer. We'll see what happens, but I'd really like for a way to understand these relationships of these frequencies and then what sort of shapes they generate. So you can see here, if I keep one frequency constant, so yeah, there's a third frequency that's at 500 hertz that I set, and that's constant at all time. Then I'm keeping R the same, this frequency here, and it keeps the same kind of circular shape in the other frequency I'm changing, and you can see it changes into different shapes as I move along in this now this 3 domain. And yeah, to keep this video short, that's all I'm going to say for now, but there's lots of these shapes you can go into and lots of different things that they say about themselves. So here it's like you can see, starting to see like star sort of shapes and other stuff that you wouldn't be able to see when you're playing around with math formula, because this thing is moving over time, and I think this is one of the first times that someone's been able to actually look at this thing in real-time audio and look at this. And to that end, I wanted to make something that does real-time audio visualization, which is, where are you? Here. This will visualize in the same sort of way incoming audio. So I can talk or make a tone. And see the phase output of, in this spirograph sort of domain, what real-time audio is. So I can whistle, and it creates a circle, which is saying that it's only one sinusoid pitch. And my last app that I'm still working on is, where is it? Okay. This lets you view things. This is something that I created to let you view incoming data in the frequency domain. So let's go. You can also record data like this. I'm going to talk here for a little bit, and it will record in the frequency domain. And then once you're done, you can view it in the time domain, zoom in, and eventually I want to have a button here that lets you switch into the frequency domain and maybe into like the phase domain too. But this is my actual audio data of me speaking, and you see there's some interesting patterns that show up, and you can learn all about it in speech recognition classes. But yeah, it's really fun to play around with this stuff, and I hope this is inspiring for someone, and I plan to do more work on this when a better UI composer comes out and when I have some more time. So yeah, hopefully this is interesting, and feel free to continue any of this work on your own. I'm just wanting to be the starting messenger for this. So thank you very much, and feel free to email me on the email at the link on this YouTube video. Thanks.